From the digital media classroom here at Wellington High School, welcome to another episode of Dialogue with the Dukes. I'm your host, Bill Berger, and today's show is being brought to you by the Bread and Brew restaurant located on the southwest corner of Route 18 and Route 58 in downtown Wellington. Today, we're having our final athletic, shall we say, endeavor here at Wellington High School for the 2021-2022 school year. Today, we're going to be talking about track. And initially, we have the girls team up first. We have on my immediate left, we have Lindsay Gott, a senior here at Wellington High School, and Hope Duziak, a sophomore here at Wellington High School. Welcome, girls. Glad to have you with us this morning. We're going to start with you, Lindsay. Before we get into track, let's talk about or give a shout out to all the coaches on the team and what's so great about having the continuity that we didn't have in previous years.
Well, to start, we have Coach Kimmick, Coach Hopkins, and Coach Friend, and they've been my coaches for the past 2 years, which are the only 2 years I've done track. And it's nice because, you know, they get to know you as an athlete and you as a person, and they help you in your personal life as well as your athletic encounters.
Mm-hmm. Hope, what are your events that you do in track or event, and which is your strongest if you have more than one?
Well, last year I did the 4x4 and 4x2, 200 and 400, and currently this year I'm working on the 4x4, 400, and 4x2. And I think my strongest is definitely the 400 because last year, like at conference, I got minute .7, and that's like the one I want to beat, you know. And then the 4x4 is like definitely coming second though because my team with that, it's just such a bonding experience, and I totally love it with them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Do you, since you're running so much, do you ever get tired during the meets, especially with all the running that you have to do?
Well, okay, yes, but also like I feel like distance, they run like miles more than I do, even if this is like a sprint and stuff, but not, you know. But the coaches, they have like trained us to where we have to like rest and get off your feet and stuff. So yes and no, but like I'm always dead, but I like get the energy back and I have the endurance to do it. So.
Same question to you, Lindsay. What event or events do you participate in? And if more than one, what's your strongest?
I do shot and disc, so the throwing events for the field part of track and field. And my strongest is discus, I would say. That's my most favorite to do.
How did you get involved in discus? I mean, there's some definite footwork involved in discus and the shot put for that matter.
Well, last year, Coach Hopkins is one of my volleyball coaches, and she was talking about the need for more girl athletes, specifically girl throwers on the track team. So my friend McKenna and I were like, okay, we'll try it out, you know, it's fun, whatever. And we went out there and we were like, we have no idea what we're doing, but then we both kind of like started to like it, and then kind of like started to compete against each other and really like started to learn about it, and we had lots of fun.
Was it hard learning the footwork?
Yeah, but
completely different from volleyball.
Yes, very, very different. I don't think there's anything that's alike in the two sports. But
yeah, exactly.
It's fun.
Yeah. Well, Hope, is there anything different this year versus last year as far as, for lack of a better term, COVID-19 or anything else having to do with the track, maybe even bring in weather?
Well, I say like last year we sanitized a lot, you know, because of COVID and everything, and we brought that back this year though, since like it's like, you know, the season of getting colds and stuff. So we still have to wipe down like the weight room and all that type of stuff. But everything right now seems like the same, like the energy and everything, it's like all the same, I'd say. And the weather, it just has been, I think we've had like 2 nice days with sun right now. So, I mean, as long as it's not like snowing, we don't complain. But when you're running and the wind and everything, it kind of sucks. But you just get through it, so.
The wind, you brought up the wind. Do you have to put on extra clothing? Does that inhibit your practicing when it's so cold out there?
Yeah, because, okay, like you get, when it's cold, your toes freeze up and everything. So then you're like freezing, but like the wind just sucks because when you're going against it, you're going way slower. It doesn't even feel like you're moving. So it definitely like is terrible, but we have to push through to, you know, succeed. So.
Well, I'm going to get off track a little bit with you, Lindsay, because you're a senior this year. What do you feel like has been your greatest athletic accomplishment here in the 4 years that you've been here at Wellington High School?
That's a hard question, but I'd say that I don't have any like statistical accomplishment or like a record that I broke. I think it's more or less like the lessons I've learned and the friends I've made. I think that's the greatest accomplishment, not just with my senior year, but with every year and with every person I've come in contact with playing sports. You know, I think that's the biggest thing is learning.
Can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
What sport do you like the best? Volleyball?
Yeah.
I knew you were going to answer that way. Well, Hope, we know that sometimes it's kind of tough. In fact, you even mentioned the fact that sometimes, for the field events and things like that, it's kind of hard to get people together or get on the team. Explain the popularity of the track team. I mean, I think last year we had 65 people, and we've got even more than that this year. Why is track so popular?
Well, I honestly feel like with Coach Kimmick, he's on all like the social medias and stuff, and since he's close with like all like the football boys and then he's like with everyone, he like puts all that out, and that's what gets people interested in it. But also, since us players love it so much, and we say how fun it is and how positive it is, and the environment, we like encourage our friends to join to like come out, and if they like it, they'll stay and stuff. But because we do that, especially because the coaches do that, they end up coming and they just love the environment because it's so positive and it's absolutely just a family, and that's why I think it gets popular.
Well, we brought up the fact that weather has impacted certainly this year. How has weather impacted as far as the away games or away meets, or even the meets here at Wellington High School? Because we've got almost new facilities, even though they sat vacant for 1 year again because of COVID. What's it like as far as weather impacting and then being at different places versus here at Wellington High School?
Well, last year, did we have one home meet? I think it was. Yeah, we had the one home meet, and I think it was nice that day. Yeah, so that
That's good.
Yeah, so at our track, it was like really good, especially with the new track we got and everything. So it was good for that. And then we're doing today actually the middle school. They're having their track meet.
I saw that.
Yeah, so we'll be running that and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully it'll be nice for them.
Yeah.
But at away, isn't it like Vermilion? I think.
Vermilion is always
Yes.
cold and rainy.
Is that
every
right?
year. And it's in May, and it's always cold and rainy. And actually, if I can like piggyback
Sure.
on your answer, our first meet this year got canceled. It was a invitational meet at Seneca East, and it got canceled because of the weather.
Sure.
So that obviously is a drawback to some meets. But like Hope said earlier, the athletes push through, and I think our team does a good job of pushing through.
Yeah.
And you just have to, bring extra clothes and extra layers. And if you don't, then too bad. You didn't do it, because you should know that. So.
Well, you carry backpacks or something like that, and you always can carry extra stuff for the time that you're not actually running, or in the case of, if the field event, something like that. So you should be able to be smart and bring extra clothes. Exactly. Well, as a final question, I talked about, what is their favorite sport and so on. And this is going to be a tough one, I know. But you are a senior. What do you feel like your legacy is going to be here at Wellington High School when you graduate?
I don't know if I want to have one like picked out. I want people to look at me as lots of different things, like a devoted athlete, or a student who cared about her grades, and a caring friend. Like, I don't want to have one legacy. I want to, impact the whole school, every sport, every grade level, and just stuff like that.
Well, if I can maybe embarrass you a little bit, you've been the libero for how many years on the volleyball team?
2.
2 years. So certainly, and the libero is, of course, a very important position on the team. Explain what a libero is.
It's the defensive player who basically has 2 subs, so she can play for 2 people, so like twice as long in the back row playing defense on the court.
Well, we would like to thank both Hope and Lindsay for coming in and talking about the girls portion of the track team here at Wellington High School, and maybe embarrassing Lindsay a little bit with what is her favorite sport. But the fact that you're on the track team, and the fact that you look at something that is maybe out of your comfort zone and the field events, things like that. So being able to do something like that is certainly very important for the girls portion of the track team. We'll be back after this message, and we'll talk to the boys about the boys track team this year. This is Dialogue with the Deuce.
Excuse me, sir. Do you know a good place to get coffee around here?
Yeah, we got Bread and Brew right here. I'd say it's the best coffee I've ever had.
If you're looking for a nice little place to have breakfast, lunch, or even dinner, then Bread and Brew is the place for you. They have an array of many different sandwiches to choose from. They have delicious bakery goods such as scones, danishes, cinnamon rolls, bagels, glazed donuts, and even more, like carrot cake, cookies, and they even make their very own freshly brewed coffee. They are located on North Main Street in Wellington, Ohio, and can be contacted at 440-647-0082.
We are back. We hope that if you or your organization would like to have a meeting, a place, the Bread and Brew is a good place to go to because they do have a back room, and you can talk with them about reserving that back room. So if you or your organization has something that you would like to meet about or impart, go to the Bread and Brew because they do have the back room for the meetings that could take place. We talked earlier in the first portion of this episode about the girls track team and what's involved with the girls. So now we bring the boys up here, and we have to my immediate right, we have Spencer Brzee, who is the son, or should I say brother, of John Brzee, who's of course very famous here at Wellington High School. And we have Joe Fox to my immediate left. Both are freshmen. So this is something new and different for you two, I know. So Spencer, you're going to be the first one. We haven't had any meets this year other than an inter-squad meet, but we have home meets this year for the first time. And so what are the challenges about being at a home meet versus at an away meet?
So far, personally, I think the worst is probably going to be weather. Other than that, I don't think home meets will be too bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've certainly had all weather, haven't we? No doubt about that. Well, Joe, what events do you compete in, and if more than one, what's your strongest?
I can compete in the mile, 2 mile, 800, and 4x8, and I think mile is my strongest, just because I've run a lot of miles, and just repetition.
Mm-hmm. And I brought up with the girls, there's a lot of distance work now involved for you. How do you get your distance work in with the weather being so bad?
Kind of just run through it, and like hopefully that it's not actually that weather at a meet, because then you can just show up, and since you've run through all the bad weather, you'll be stronger in the good weather.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And Spencer, what event or events, and if more than one, what's your strongest?
I don't know yet though. I run 4x8 and 800,
mm-hmm.
and I'm with distance, so sometimes I run like longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the inter squad meet, I ran the 1600 with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But
What do you like best? Do you like distance or shorter?
probably shorter because I feel better. I think 800 is probably my strongest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. With the distance work involved, does that mess up your shorter distances any, or are you ready to go in all cases?
So I think it helps actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just feels way better when I run 800s after I run a mile. And, you know.
Okay. Okay. Joe, tell us about this year's team. Is there a smattering of both upperclassmen and lower and underclassmen, or the team itself? We have so many, according to the girls, like 70-some people. Tell us about this year's team.
I think it's a good balance across everything, like sprinters and long distance, boys and girls, and like upperclassmen and lowerclassmen. So it's a good spread, and hopefully it covers everything.
Spencer, the 800 is a perfect example, where you're not, or even the longer distance events. How do you motivate yourself? Especially, you're all by yourself out there. You're competing for your school, yes, but you're competing, by yourself. There's no team aspect involved when you're actually out there running. So how do you actually motivate yourself to do that?
First, I don't think I have any motivation. Mostly it's my brother, to be honest. He just motivates me to go there and to do my best.
How? Just out of your curiosity, how does he do that? Because you're 3 years, 4 years apart in school.
Probably punching me.
Really?
A lot of punches to the shoulder, get me going, but.
Okay. So Joe, how will the senior leadership help the team this year? Again, both of you being freshmen, so you've got to look for guidance for the senior leadership or upperclassmen leadership. How does that take place?
They've been there the longest, so they kind of know what's going on. So if I have a question, I just ask them like what's going on, and like if I need help or anything, I can ask them about it.
Excuse me. And Joe, talked about that aspect, but for your case, you already talked about how your brother helps you out being a senior. Excuse me. Well, Spencer, how has the team done so far? I realize you haven't actually had a full meet yet because the first one was canceled. So in the inter-squad meet, how well did things go? Do you think it went well? Do you think it was you could see where more work needs to be done?
Yeah, I think it went pretty well, actually. Everything actually felt pretty good, even though the weather was pretty cold. But I think it felt pretty good.
Well, as the final question to you, Joe, I know you've only had just the inter-squad meet, but it's enough to see where your strongest events are, where the weakest events are for the team itself.
Yeah, like I think my strongest would probably be the up and the higher distances, like a mile and 2 mile. And I think if we can keep working on it, and it may not be really fast right now, but like toward the end of the season when it counts, we can get it pretty low and maybe win some stuff.
We hope we win a lot of stuff for that matter. Well, we'd like to thank both Spencer Brzee and Joe Fox, and also Lindsey Gott and Hope Duziak for coming in and talking to us about the track team, what to look forward to, especially since we're just now starting out the season. And I'm glad that we were able to get you all in here earlier versus the other sports. We've, in fact, over the winter, it took them almost to the end of the season before we could actually get the people in. So I'm glad we were able to catch you before the season actually really started, with the exception of the inter-squad meet. And so we'd like to thank all 4 of you for coming in and talking about the track team here at Wellington High School this year. We'll be back again soon with another episode of Dialogue with the Dean.